Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Klanti Pai. I am going to be helping drive this discussion, which is about access to finance. I work as an economist, but I'm an entrepreneur. It's a bit of a tongue twister. We've got some of the best people in this panel who are going to talk to you about these things. But I wanted to start here because I'm sure most of you are, as every entrepreneur says, looking for money. So if your cousin calls you up and says they're starting a business and they'd like you to lend them some money, they've been collecting from different people, and they call you up and they say, look, can you lend me some money, 1,000 rand, 5,000? What would be the questions you would ask them? So I need you to participate. A hand up. Anybody?
What's in it for me?
That's it, okay?
How are you going to pay back?
How much are you going to pay back?
How much? Yeah, interest. Okay.
Yo, malenga. No, what are you going to do with 5 grand?
I'm not a cash loan.
Ouch. Anybody?
What kind of a business are you starting?
Last one.
Do you have markets?
Do you have markets? Very good. Now I think that last question is important, right? But everybody wants one thing. Am I going to get my money back? All right? And there's only one way to get your money back, and that's when the person sells the things. And so many people forget that part about how do I actually convince this person I'm going to pay them their money back. So we're going to have these people here who know how to ask these questions and maybe how to answer them. But as they talk, take some notes because we're going to be back again to answer this question because a lot of people are very sensitive. Many of you here want to hear about access to finance, but some people say, I won't lend you, I'm not cash loan. Because part of it is all of us want to keep our money, it must be safe. But at the same time, we want to take other people's money and risk it. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. So we have a panel here, and they're going to introduce themselves. It's a bit sad that we only have one woman, but we'll do better next year.
Do I need to stand up? I guess. Good afternoon. I was going to say good morning because I've been here since the early hours of today. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kemaudi Lenzwani from Lehumo Investments. Lehumo Investments is an organization that I founded. It's a group of companies. I founded the organization back in 2011. It's one of the financial companies that is making the mark within the financial sector in South Africa. It's a very difficult space to be in. The speaker earlier said, many years ago, the big guys used to eat the small guys. But in 2018, is the fast guys that are eating the slow guys. So make sure that you're not the slow one because you are going to be eaten. Lehumo Investments, we do a number of things. One, we help people to insure. We've got an insurance arm. We have the investment division, the asset management division. We help you to invest. We've got the other division, which is the trading division. Many of you have heard about trading, whether it's the bitcoins of this world, the forex, the equity. You've got no clue of what it means. It's a one form of, it's a platform that people can utilize to raise funding. The other division, it's the private equity division. And I think today when we're talking about the conversation that we're having here, which is access to funding, it's very important for you guys to understand what we do as Lehumo Investments is that we assist entrepreneurs. We look for businesses that are shining, businesses that have entrepreneurs who are really passionate about what we do, and we help them with the funding. Mr. Indran Gavenda was talking earlier here about, he was on the panel from FlinFin. We have, as Luhumo Investments, we've got shares in FlinFin. So it's one of the businesses that we've invested in. So that's the platform also that by extension is part of the Luhumo group. And I think he unpacked it very well, what FlinFin does. And I think you guys can refer in more details about what they do. What I want to speak to you guys about today, it's about the fact that there are a number of ways entrepreneurs can raise funding, can access funds. You can either go and borrow the money, in other words, get a loan. You can also raise funding through equity. In other words, look for equity partners that are going to fund, be part owners of your business. So you've got to compare the best form of funding. Do the comparison between which one is more lucrative between those type of funding. Is it getting a loan or is it going through the equity funding? You've got to compare the costs. Oftentimes, entrepreneurs are thinking the only way to get money is to go and get a loan. But sometimes you find that the cost of equity of the loan, it's higher than the cost of equity. So sometimes selling a portion of your company to a strategic partner could be the best way for you to actually advance in terms of a business. So I need you guys to have that mindset shift. Start thinking about funding or access to funding through equity partners, which is where the private equity arm of Luhumo Investments comes in. As I said, we funded FlinFin. We became part owners of FlinFin. They wanted to grow. They had options of going to the bank, right? Compare the interest rates that they're going to pay, right? Or go through Luhumo and get funding and still be able to achieve the same goal. So I need you guys to think about those two and be able to say which one is the best form of funding. Luhumo has got a number of products. I'm going to list just two of them, and due to time. We've got, on the other side, the Luhumo team is sitting there if you want to know more. But the one exciting product that I want to mention today, Saros was here. They talked about the rebates that they have. We've taken advantage of a product, a very nice product that came through because of the changes, the amendments that we had on the income tax amendments. It was amended back in 2009. The government introduced something called a Section 12J. It's a tax incentive program by the National Treasury. What it does, it says, if you are an entrepreneur and you invest money into a Section 12J, a company, you get 100% tax deductions on that money that you've invested. In other words, every money that you invest into a VCC structure, a registered venture capital, that money is 100% tax deductible. So there's tax benefits already of investing into a VCC. So as a Luhumo, we've set up a VCC structure. We've attracted funds from many other business people. They invest in that VCC. We then take the money and invest into small, medium enterprises, into young people's businesses. You get two benefits. One, your money is invested in these companies that are doing very well. And at the same time, you're getting tax benefits. So there are a number of ways that we as entrepreneurs need to start thinking about how we can actually grow and assist other businesses, but also grow our own investments as well. Because by you investing this money, you are making money as well. And at the same time, you're getting the tax benefits. I want you to go and learn more about the Section 12J. We've got that product as Luhumo Investments. I'm going to cut it there, ladies and gentlemen, due to time, and allow the other panelists to also engage. But I'm happy to, of course, answer any questions relating to what I've just spoken about. Thank you so much.
Evening, everybody. My name is Tembelani Makotla. I'm from the Old Mutual Masisizane Fund. Now I'm here basically to tell you about our product offering and what is it that we do. So we are a fund that was established in 2007, and we focusing on 4 sectors. We do franchising, we do agribusiness, we do supply chain and manufacturing. Now, the main reason we exist is to alleviate poverty and to assist black entrepreneurs. So our finding criteria is strictly that the business has to be 51% or more black owned. And in that particular sector, I would like to focus on franchising. Now, franchising, we focusing on 4 subsectors. We do fuel stations, we do fast foods, we do retail, and we do automotive services. Now, normally, the frequently asked questions around franchising is, can I just approach you as a funder, even if I've been approved by the franchisor? We cannot assist you if you haven't been approved by the franchisor. So the steps is you get approved by the franchisor, then you come to us for funding. Now, where we tend to differ with some of the funding is that in terms of collateral, because you know most banks, they want collateral. We are not that heavily driven in terms of getting collateral for a transaction. If the deal is a good deal, it's a viable business, the entrepreneur is it's solid, then we see how we can assist you. But obviously, we all know that we also want skin in the game, because when you contribute your own money, you tend to want to make it work. So that's franchising. And agriculture, we focusing on grain, we do livestock farming, we do a number of projects, depending, there has to be markets in place. So this is where it tends to get tricky, because you find someone who's a startup but doesn't have access to markets. So normally what happens in this instance is that you approach the respective customers, and you ask them to give you letters of intent. Now, a letter of intent on its own does not hold much water, but it gives us comfort that there is someone who might take your product, right? And then for supply chain, is mostly what we call the tenderpreneurs. So we assist entrepreneurs who have government tenders, who have tenders with private, whether it's building RTP houses, building roads, or supplying the likes of Tiger Brands, whatever product that you have. So we assist you with that. And there it has to be contract linked. Our term is based on the contract. So if a contract is for 12 months, our term in the funding will be for 12 months. So it has to be viable in a sense that you're able to pay us within 12 months. And then we also do manufacturing. Now in the manufacturing also, there has to be a solid market. And another element within Masisizane is the post-investment element. So what happens is that once you've been funded and then you're onboarded to the post-investment team, now the reason why this post-investment element was created is we saw that a number of entrepreneurs actually struggle once they actually have the business. The money has been given to you, so what now? So we step in to see how we can assist your business in terms of giving you capacity, assisting you getting additional markets. We liaison with different funders, respective players, and see how we can actually hold you throughout the journey and make sure that your business succeeds. Now, our rates are quite reasonable, if I may say. For our franchising, we do normally prime plus 1, with the rate currently sitting at 10%, so you're looking at 11% on a transaction. With contract financing, it's prime plus 2. Now, with agriculture, we can base it at prime. Depending on the deal, then it can also be prime plus 1. Now, what we proud ourselves is the fact that we really contributing to the economy. And one of the projects that we recently been involved in is the township revitalization project. I'm not sure how many of you are around from Soweto, but if you look around, you will see there's a number of small pick and pay shops which are coming up. Now, we're part of that project. And in that project, we've partnered with a lot of people. We've partnered with the GEP, we've partnered with our Old Mutual Foundation, and we've also partnered with Brimstone. So the main aim is we bring in partners that will give you grant, and also we come in loan finance, because at this moment, we're only providing loan financing to our respective entrepreneurs. Now, the main, for our franchising, the term is mostly 5 years. And that's linked to the term of the franchise agreement, right? And for agribusiness, it depends. And in terms of repayments, we're quite flexible in the agri sector, because we need to follow your cycle of the particular business. So that is us in a nutshell. I'll be around to take any questions if you need to. We have a national footprint. If you have a deal in the Eastern Cape, we'll be able to assist you. Northern Cape, we're able to assist you. And there are provinces, there are provincial managers that look after each province. So thank you.
I hope you don't mind me using your podium. I've got a whole lot of stuff that I want to communicate. Good afternoon. My name is Tlale Matseke and I'm with the Land Bank. Others know it as the Land Bank, but either way, I hope that a number of you have heard of it. By a show of hands, how many of you are in the agricultural sector? So we eat food 3 times a day about, and we only have about a handful of individuals who are producing our food or getting it to our plates. Okay, so, and of those people that are in agriculture, how many of you are in primary production? So how many of you are the farmers? That's very impressive. It's a very sexy job. Okay, and I suppose the rest of you are in secondary production. All right, so the Land Bank is a specialist financing institution, particularly for agriculture. We are involved across the value chain, whether you are looking at acquiring land, whether you're looking at financing the purchase of implements or equipment, whether you want to buy a tractor, whether you want to buy livestock, across a number of different value chains. And we've been around since 1912. Now that's a very long time, and I mean, we've previously heard of the Land Bank as some or other institution that we're not able to connect with, and we're on a very, very aggressive drive to change that. So our 3 strategic areas, so to say, as part of our 2020 vision is transformation, which is very important because the face of agriculture in South Africa is very different to the individuals who are in this room today. And the second aspect is inclusivity, because as much as we would like to see food getting onto our plates, we're starting to really focus on who is really providing that food. You know, what are the demographics of the individuals who are really, really getting involved in the production of our food? So we're really trying to change that. Does it mean bringing the youth in? You know, how inclusive is agriculture? The third one, of course, is growth. So it's quite important to make sure that our sector grows. And really growth, I would like to believe, is underpinned by those 2 aspects, which is transformation and inclusivity. So our role really is what we say interventionalist. Basically, it means that we play a coordinating function and a coordinating role in making sure that we can facilitate financing and I guess that access to finance. Every time I hear access to finance, I think to myself, is it just access to finance or is it access to a certain type of finance and the availability of that finance? You know, so I think that's quite important. And we try by all means to make it possible for our financing, and financing being debt, our loans to reach individuals at the most affordable price, and of course making it widely available. On the other end, we also enable project development. So you would appreciate that while access to finance is a major challenge, it's not the only challenge which is facing entrepreneurs. There are a whole host of other issues, and that's the reason why I suppose the discussions today have been premised on 3 different areas. Of course, we're just talking about access to markets, which is also a major, major issue, because regardless of what you may have and the amount of money that you may have and all of that, you need to actually have some way to sell that, because you need to be able to repay. Someone said repayment ability, that's very important. So in most instances, and particularly in agriculture, if you're not able to sell your produce, you're as good as gone. The last aspect is increasing meaningful participation in the participation of marginalized groups. Now, if you think of marginalized groups, I'm part of that category. We're looking at, there's actually an organization called Finmark Trust, which conducted a really amazing assessment of social exclusion in the country. And they say that a typical person who is socially excluded is a female, a black female, who is either between the ages of 19 and 24 or over the age of 55 years old, who is specifically farming and is in a rural setting. So, I mean, that really speaks to why it's important for us to make it possible for these marginalized groups, like myself, to be involved in agriculture. Now, I've already talked on the marginalized groups. So the challenges, of course, we understand that as a financial institution, it's important to appreciate the major reasons why access to affordable and available finance is quite difficult. And if you walk into a typical financial institution, you'll be told, you know, have you got equity? What is your owner's equity? and the bankers refer to it as skin in the game. So have you got skin in the game? How do we know that you are committed to making this business work? And that is very important. But at the same time, if you're looking at that category of marginalized groups that I was referring to, how many of us are actually able to put up owner's equity when we're looking at going into and putting together an enterprise or building an enterprise? It's not the same for everyone, particularly where we're looking at creating an impact, which is in the agricultural space with emerging farmers. The second aspect is the cost of finance. Finance can be quite expensive, and that's the reason why it's important for us to look at it as affordable finance, finance that facilitates some or other type of production. And then the third aspect is inadequate collateral, the C word. It's one of the challenges that we're faced with, unfortunately, and if you're working in an industry where you have to ensure repayment ability, I forgot to mention something when I started. As the Land Bank, as much as we're a state-owned enterprise, we don't receive any money from the national budget. We finance ourselves on the capital markets, meaning that we have private investors who put money into, who provide us with what they call wholesale interest rate. I forgot what it's called, but basically it's a type of finance which is at a lower rate, and then we on-lend it onto our clients. So that means that we only provide straight debt, and the challenge that we're faced with and what we're working very, very, very aggressively on is how do we ensure that even though we want to make sure that we can on-lend that money and make sure that we have it repaid, how do we make it possible for emerging farmers to really participate in the sector? Meaning that we really can't charge those high interest rates, which we should have been charging because of the fact that we are actually raising the money ourselves. And that speaks to the level of innovation which is really required in the space that we're working in. Agriculture is innately a very risky sector to work in because you can have access to finance, you can have your implements, you can have your seed, you can plant on time and make sure everything's great, and then you get a drought or you get a hailstorm. And then if you don't have insurance or you don't have affordable insurance, which you also provide, by the way, then you're dead in the water and you're faced with having to settle a major, major loan which you don't have the money for. And the bank is knocking at your door. Worst case scenario, they're looking at taking your farm. Not us, of course, because we're very, very, we're really focused on making sure that we create a really enabling environment in the sector. So what kind of interventions does the Land Bank provide? Obviously financing, but because, like I said, you get different kinds of challenges. On the financing side, it's those three that I mentioned. On the non-financial side, we understand, the guys who are in agriculture will tell you that it's also access to inputs. What kind of seed are you getting? Is it the kind of seed that's actually working, that works well for the type of geographical area that you're in? There's so many different aspects. Do you have access to land, Now that I started working for the Land Bank a few months ago, and all my friends keep saying, Lale, where's the land? And that's unfortunately a reality, that a lot of our emerging farmers are faced with. Sometimes when they get the land, how are they able to bring that into production? Do they have sufficient production support? You can have the finance, but do you know how to farm that specific commodity? Do you have capacity building for that specific variety of tomatoes, which must be harvested at a specific time of the day, because if you don't, it spoils and then you don't actually have that access to markets because now you no longer meet the stringent requirements which you're faced with to produce for a certain off-taker. Do you know what I mean? So there's so many challenges, and there's so many, it's all multi-dimensional, but they're all linked. And that adds the complexity of the sector that we're operating in. As a young person in agriculture, which is quite important because I'd like to believe that we're trying to get to a point where entrepreneurs and agripreneurs are young and vibrant and really, feeling home in the agricultural sector. It's not easy for us to be involved in policy discussions. Now, I feel as though to a large extent we feel as though we've been excluded from the kind of conversations where we're supposed to have influence. So how do we make it possible for us to feel represented in certain discussions regarding how it is that we can participate as young black South Africans in the agricultural sector? And there's also another challenge that we're faced with, which we try to really look at by encouraging and working with industry stakeholders and industry bodies and farmers associations. I'm not sure if you're all aware of the different farmers associations which you could be a part of as as farmers and participators in the agricultural value chain. So those are different, just randomly the challenge that I thought to quickly outline. I know a number of you are asking, who's our target market? Who do we really support? It's every single farmer that is looking at trying to establish a commercial enterprise, a commercially viable enterprise. Now, we have different sectors, or we've got different segments along which we play. At the highest tier, it's 5 different ones. At the highest tier, it's the cooperatives and the agribusinesses. These are the institutions that provide services and implements to other sort of players in the agricultural value chain. Right below that, we have the large farmers, and these are typically the farmers who are farming on land that's over 1,000 hectares. Those are individuals who are really dominant in the sector and actually have, they've got that clout, they've got that influence that they can exercise in the sector. Below that, we've got medium commercial. And these are farmers who would typically have a turnover of between 5 and 500 million. They would have anything between 100 and 1,000 hectares of land, and obviously across a different number of value chains. And then we have the emerging farmers category, which is my favorite personally, because that's where the real potential lies to make a difference in terms of the 3 aspects that I talked about: transformation, growth, and inclusivity. And these are farmers who would have anything between 10 hectares and 100 hectares, and their turnover would be less than 5 million rand. And at the lowest end, we have the subsistence farmers, and unfortunately, our business does not cater for farmers who are less than 10 hectares. We are, of course, very driven by the type of potential that your enterprise has, and if we see that there is future commercial potential in your enterprise, we're very, very happy to work with you and to look at how best we can upskill you and, advise from just a production support perspective and enable you to look beyond just being a subsistence farmer. Also being important that not everyone actually wants to be a commercial farmer. Some individuals are very happy just producing for their households and just supporting themselves. But of course, we're looking at national food security, and that requires really, really, really vibrant farmers. And I'm hoping that the ones in the room are also in that category. So I'm going to just lastly talk about our product offering. We've got a very diverse range of products, and like I said, because we're across a different number of segments, it's quite important for us to look at what kind of products do we have. If we're saying we can service the guy who has 10 hectares and the guy who has 1,000 hectares, you can imagine that our products have to speak to a whole range of needs. And on the one end, we've got our mortgage products, and we've got something called a special mortgage loan. Now that one's quite interesting because as a previously disadvantaged group or as a marginalized group, you would, or as part of the marginalized group, you would typically take a little bit longer to pay off your debt, right? So we're quite flexible in that we give you up to 25 years for you to pay the acquisition of your land, and of course you need to be this color. In order for you to qualify, because, like I said, the individuals who we're trying to create the right amount of development impact are those who were previously marginalized and are not given the opportunity to really participate in agriculture. And then we also have medium-term products which make it possible for you to finance your movable assets. Those are your tractors, your combine harvesters, and any sort of equipment that you need on your farm to be productive. And those would be financed up until 15 years. We also have establishment loans, and those are for instance, if you are establishing a sugarcane plantation, if you're looking at establishing a fruit orchard, the like of those sort of commodities which would take up to 5 years before you can even start to harvest. So we make it possible for you to get that sort of financing, which would actually require us to give a certain amount of time before you actually start paying. You can't be expected to be paying off a loan facility that you use to establish a crop which will only start harvesting in 5 years. And then on the tail end of that, we've got short-term products. Those are up until 5 years, and that's really typically for production support. The previous speaker spoke about how you have you've got to really tailor your products to the seasons. And of course, if you need to plant right now and you need to put your seeds in the ground so you could make sure that you're within the season, you need production support right now. And based on the kind of commodity that you are farming, we would tailor your repayment term according to that, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or annually. So those are the different products that we have. The land bank is, we've got a very, very good geographical spread. We've got 9 provincial offices across the country, and we've got 16 satellite offices I don't know what a satellite office is, what it's supposed to sound like, but basically it's anywhere where it's close to the people, you know, and an office which is a bit smaller but has all the capabilities to assist you. And they would typically be in the areas where they're close to reaching those farmers that are a bit hard to reach because, you know, unfortunately, agriculture is, I've got 1 minute left, agriculture is something that would have to take into consideration that individuals are sparsely located. And then we've got a website, landbank.co.za, which you can access. And if at any given time you feel that you need any sort of support, please feel free to send an email to info@landbank.co.za. And I've got one product brochure with me. If anybody needs further information, I'm very happy to part with it. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you.
Sanbonani. Okay. Mina, I'm Lindy Wemtaki from the National Empowerment Fund. It's that banner right there at the end. National Empowerment Fund is one of the DFIs as a form of government. Is it okay if I mix my languages? Because mina, yeah. Okay, as a form of government, we are particularly different as a DFI because our core focus is to grow black economic participation, as our logo says. So we are more focused on funding of black business. Our old mutual colleague spoke about 51% ownership, black ownership are the kind of businesses that they are interested in. ENEF is actually fulfilling that space as well, but from the government sector. So I was very excited actually to hear more about your program because I've never really, you know, looked into Old Mutual. UNEF was formed under the banner of the DTI with two basic functions. We provide financial and non-financial support, which means we don't just give you money, we handhold you wherever possible all the way to the end, from cradle to grave. And then the second major thing that we that forms part of our mandate is the promotion of savings and investments amongst our people. When you say savings and investments, people have issues, people, you know, cringe and say, but how am I supposed to save when I'm not making enough to sustain myself? I will get into that a little bit later. But that's part of our mandate, and we, as such, you know, we do promote that culture. I will just basically touch on most of what has been spoken about. Our duty is very, very similar, actually, as funders. As long as, you know, you are aware that when you come to the NEF, we do not provide grant funding, we provide a loan. There are, you know, funding periods that we have. We are looking at anything between 5 and 7 years. We do not fund primary agriculture. Uland Bank was set up for that pure purpose. We do your agro-processing. So your secondary agriculture is where we can get involved, where you will say, I am farming this particular product, but I need to set up, for example, a processing plant to, you know, supply Woolworths, to supply Pick and Pay, whoever. But at least we assist where secondary agriculture is concerned. I'm not going to go into in-depth because, quite honestly speaking, it's very similar. The funding structures are very similar. One other thing is we've got a post-investments department where once we've funded you, we allocate a post-investments associate who will come and say, have you seen Guti, if une business, for example, I come from a long line of business people, right? You know exactly how to weld a gate together, but you do not know how to run the business side of things. We give you somebody, a mentor, free of charge, only as part of our non-financial support, only to companies that have been funded by the NEF. So we do not just sit back and say, Begala, in 6 months we've given you a moratorium on your interest. Ugutu Pumule, you're not going to pay us anything for 6 months, but come month 7, Funimali etupelele. No. We do look at those dynamics, and we are aware, Uguti. I mean, a lot of people spoke earlier about the issue of access to funding. funding is available, but the problem is in other spaces, they give you their requirements, but you do not have somebody who's going to say, what we do, Tina, NEF, you come, you give us your proposal. If it is not a viable business, we are able to say to you, okay, it's not viable because of A, B, C, D. And if we feel that it can be structured in such a way that it becomes bankable, then we tell you to go and review A, B, C, D, E. Remember, our core focus is empowerment of black business. So we do not just, give you a no and say, close the door, please go away, try next door for your funding. If you are a patient person, if you are motivated enough and you want that business and you are willing to work with us, we are available. One other thing, because I was told I've got 10 minutes, one other issue, Nati, we've got a national footprint. We've got offices all over the country. In all these provinces, we've got regional managers who work with their investment associates so it's fully fledged offices, and they travel to whatever areas where they are required. We do have challenges where you will find larger provinces, like for instance, if we go and present a KZN or Limpopo, people will say, but I cannot get to Epulukwane Tropeni. Can you bring them to go Bochum, or, unfortunately we can't, but remember there's one regional manager. If you do make that request, they will make the time to come and see you wherever you are. That we are trying, we really are trying. It's very difficult. Remember, setting up an office, you've got to look at your expenses as well. If we go and we set up maybe say 3 offices, but only one office generates any business for us, it's not going to be a very pleasant situation, am I correct? So we do have the national presence. And as the NEF, we've put together tips for those individuals who are interested in setting up these businesses. We always, with this program essentially it's called e-Investor Education. I come from a socio-economic development unit of the NEF. What we do is we focus on communities around the country. We run programs. Have you ever heard of transactions where, I think Ilan Beck spoke about priorities being cooperatives, where there's community involvement, where there's workers who are getting allocated shares in the business. We are responsible for grooming those workers, building them up to become fully fledged business people. There's a program that we were running with a government department where they were giving farm workers an opportunity to become shareholders in these farms. So we were there to capacitate, we're still there, it's actually ongoing. We are capacitating these farm workers to become fully fledged business people, where we teach them we do corporate governance training, we do entrepreneurship training, we do financial literacy, etc., etc. So it's not just that we focus on funding, we've got, many other hats that we put on. And then coming to the savings and investments, there's a gentleman who spoke earlier about someone who gets tender, atole funding, but funding doesn't reach conclusion yaleyo transaction, yaleyo tender yake. It's because of, in most cases, with the research that's been done, it's the lack of financial literacy and discipline that we need to remind ourselves of. Now, in promoting this culture of savings and investments, NEF is saying, go out there, remind our black people about the importance of saving and investing. If I, as Ulindi, cannot handle my finances properly, and I walk into Land Bank and I say, buy me this farm for 10 million, give me money to sort this farm out, but the minute that money lands in my bank account, I'm thinking, X5, let me buy X5. We're trying to remind each other about the importance, and I'm sure the investment, Iluhumo, is it Luhumo? Yes, Iluhumo would sort of relate to what I'm trying to say here. So we're trying to promote this thing. Yoguti, whether you want to go and invest with Luhumo, whether you want to go and invest in the stock exchange, whether you want to invest in a business, there's something called discipline, there's something called, you can't force somebody to be motivated to handle their finances properly. But if the person instills those values within themselves, and they really do want, they do never miss the goalpost, I'm sure it will be okay, I'm almost done. It will be easier for them to manage. So what we are saying is, you know, when you do go out, there are certain investment schemes that are available. We normally run this program with the previously known as Financial Services Board. They are now called Financial Sector Conduct Authority. We run it together with them. We run it together with the National Credit Regulator, where we say, let's try and work and assist you wherever possible. A lot of people, the first question that comes to funders is, if I'm blacklisted, will you fund me? And that's a very popular question. Remember, as a consumer, Tina, we are trying to give you this well-rounded situation. You're good, okay, you know, as much as you come to NEF for funding, but you are still a consumer, you still have a history behind you, which is called, the nightmare for all black people is this blacklisting. Because, you know, you hear stories with people saying, but ITC, it's not so much that, it's because information I figi and we are trying to assist in that sense as well. Let's try and sort out our discipline and our ability yokuthi sizama ukusebenza very cautiously with our budgeting, with our planning. And also investments. I've met a group of guys, because we take this program nationally. We met a group of guys after Mabupani, going deeper into Pretoria. They had a society scheme. A lot of people, the minute you say society scheme, I know the educated ones will say, lo angazospora ngama society. But let me tell you something. Society schemes, saving in groups is working out there. People are starting businesses out there. Now this group, Bebe contributor 1,000 rands. It's a group of 12 guys. They were contributing 1,000 rands each per month for angazi how many years, but every year, angithi niyayazi le style sokuthi once you've saved in a society scheme, you share. Now they were sharing for a period of about 5 years. Then one day, one of them said, hey guys, we cannot just be saving and sharing. Let's do something constructive. What are we leaving for our children? Okay, Oshonayo, we draw, we go and we bury them. But what are we essentially doing? So now these guys at this seminar said to me, you know, Lindy, we sat down and we thought, you know what, it would be nice to at least own a franchise. Re-12, it's not going to give us much. Babang bakas mereko, but Re-12, at the end of the day, societies are not going to own a franchise. That's what they did. Time to share. We were 30 half by share. They would do whatever they want with their allocations. This other half was always invested. Now this investment grew in about, I think, a period of 3.5 years. They took it, they walked into Nando's and bought themselves a franchise. Okay? Obviously, they financed a portion of it. But what I'm trying to say to you is, it is possible to start businesses as a group. If you work as a group, for example, you have to have the discipline, you have to work with people that you trust, you've got to have a good relationship with the people that you save your monies with. So that's just one of the examples I'm trying to show you. NEF ran an Asonge share scheme with MTN a couple of years ago. And society schemes invested quite a bit in that share scheme. These share schemes are available. They get advertised in newspapers. People get an opportunity to go and register and invest a bit of money. And that money, I mean, if you are saying as an individual, 200 rand, then, you know, as a group, it's easier. I see the gentleman behind me is ready for me to go. But what I want to say is, we've got an exhibition going on next door. If you need any further information about National Empowerment Fund and the funding, we've got a very handsome young man over there who will give you further information. And I'm also still available until the end of this event. Thank you very much.
Sanbonani, Ninjani, Sikhona nathi. Ugama lami uThami wakwaDlamini. I'm from Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, of which is GEP. GEP, it's a government agency under the auspices of economic development. So GEP was born in 2005, and then the purpose, yokuthi izalwe in 2005, it was to propel the SMEs as well as cooperatives. So the programs that we've got as GEP, we've got 3 programs. 1 is capacity building, 2, non-financial support, and then number 3 is financial support. But for the purpose of this platform, I'll focus more on financial support. So financial support, we start from the minimum of 10,000 up to the maximum of 5 million. So the pool is divided into two categories. Anything that starts from 10 up to 350,000, we call it in microfinance. And then anything that is above microfinance ceiling to the ceiling near GEP as a whole, of which is 5,000, we call it a captive fund. So the two pools, in microfinance, anything that is between 10 and 50,000, you don't have to submit a business plan. The business plan is not required. A company profile is going to be sufficient, but anything that is above 50,000, therefore you'll need to submit a bankable business plan. So what type of products do we have? We've got a startup. If let's say you want to start a business, you can be able to approach us. We'll be able to assist you. And then if you've got an existing business and then you want to grow or you want to expand your business, you can be able to approach us. And then contract finance. Contract finance is when you receive purchase orders from various government departments or maybe private sectors, as well as a franchise. So both Lokunjana categories, they cover those products. So now, what is the turnaround time? The turnaround time is an average of 6 weeks. However, it can take more than that depending on the complexity of the application. For an example, in 2016, we received an application near a certain cooperative from Tembisa. They were manufacturing ilokunjana ipende as well as ilokunjana the road marking pen. But what was supposed to be done is that they needed to comply with the SABS as well as they wanted ilokunjani product. They are be internationally recognized. So the certificate so go to be internationally recognized. It has to take a period of 6 weeks. But also testing of the product by the SABS, because it show it can stand for, or it can withstand for seasons I4. So it has to take 12 months. So that application took a period of 18 months to say finalize. So I'm trying to show you we might say the application can take an average of 6 weeks, but how complex is that application? It can take more than that. Also, remember, you'll also more submit application today. You'll start counting, okay? To saying you're submitting a data, so then you start to count 6 weeks. Unfortunately, GEP currently it's growing. It's growing in a sense that it demand yabantu about small businesses, but for nama services where GEP it's growing. So that on its own, it also makes it turn around to be very slow. But we have tried now to move from a manual application system to an online system. So the online system, how does it work? It works in a sense that it gives you a communication between each GEP now. When you come and apply, you'll receive what we call a reference number. And then each and every step that is taken with the application, you'll be receiving in SMS, or maybe if you've provided us with your email address, you will be getting any messages in your Lokunjana, in your email. So that, fortunately, it has started to work very well in terms of e-communication. So what is the interest? When you apply for a microfinance, interest rate it's 8% fixed, and then the repayment period is over the period of 36 months, meaning that microfinance will patala over the period of 3 years. So a captive fund is prime linked, and then we patala up to 72 months. So what is it that we don't finance? We don't finance businesses that are illegal. Number two, any business that requires the amount that is bigger than what we can be able to afford. So we've got regional offices because each GEP is financed by a Gauteng government. Therefore, the businesses that are going to benefit from service offerings with GEP are only businesses that are based in Gauteng. So if your business is outside Gauteng province, it is most unfortunately that we cannot be able to assist you. So another question that came was, I've got a business, it's here in Gauteng, but I've received a tender in Mpumalanga. Can you be able to assist us now? Now the challenge is, you'll be taking our resources was a Gauteng, and then you're going to create the employment to another province. So meaning that with the Gauteng province, I benefit. But another question is, if it's an opportunity for my business to grow, do you now stop me from growing? Okay? And then and then what we are saying is that we'll look at the investment that we gave you. Oguti, which province is benefiting more than the other province? For example, we can say you need to buy whatever material that you're going to use into another province from the Gauteng province. So in that, I think I've tried to cover most of the things that are relevant, but the model of financing is the same. Whatever they've said about NEF is what we are doing. I'd like to thank everybody.
Thank you, sir. Sanibonani. Ninjani? All right, man. Igama Mzwa Sibongo Nhlangeni, and I come from the IDC, the Industrial Development Corporation. You know, Program Director, I'm tempted to just take questions, because a lot of the things that I'm going to say have already been covered by my colleagues from the Land Bank and the NEF. But be that as it may, I suppose it being a youth month, maybe let me give a couple of lines in terms of our offerings in respect to youth. And young person, by our definition, is anybody who's under the age of 36, which is people like me. Some of you might be aware that sometime back in 2013, the government drove a process called the Youth Employment Accord, which was called a pact, where a number of stakeholders were asked to come forward to pledge the support that they were going to give to young people, to support young people to gain employment. IDC was one of the signatories to that pact, as it were. And as a function of that, we ring-fenced an amount of money at the time, which was 1 billion, to say this is the amount of money that we're pledging to support youth businesses. And there was an intent behind that action on our part, because some of you would note that historically, IDC has not been known to be that organization that is friendly to black people, less developed or smaller businesses, youth, and so on and so forth. So in a sense, it was an attempt for us to up our acting as far as making impact to service young people, women, disabled people, and so on and so forth. So that was the one thing. Second to that, we created a scheme that we called in our speak a Grow E-Youth scheme. The uniqueness of this scheme is that, one, it provides discounted funding to young people, that is the people that are under the age of 36, to the extent that people can get funding up to prime less 3, which is, we think, is one of the cheapest form of money that's available on the market, but obviously depending on what your business looks like and so on. Two, the scheme also allows you to apply for businesses from an amount of 1 million up. We don't do any businesses that are less than 1 million. Those businesses that are under less than 1 million are serviced by our sister company called SIFA, the Small Enterprise Finance Agency. Neither do we do businesses in the areas of services and also the retail sector. IDC's mandate is in the area of industrial development. Put simply, we focus on manufacturing across a range of sectors: the automotive sector, the mining sector, agro-processing, and so on and so forth. However, there's a small exception to that rule, as it were. We do find ICT as a sector that many people are not aware of. We do find tourism. There's a whole lot of hotel developments that we've funded to date. And also we do fund filmmaking. Some of you might be aware of, for example, the Cape Town studios for film that are based in Cape Town. So what IDC has done to date, of the commitment that we made back in 2013, I'm going to brag a bit, Program Director. To date, we've been able to provide 4.7 billion strictly to young people. And what we also started to do these days, if you go to our website, you'll be able to see the names of the people that we're funding and the type of business that, and so that we don't just claim numbers, but you can see that Mzwa from the Northwest was given this amount of money by the IDC. So, Program Director, like I said, maybe perhaps the value of this conversation would be for us to receive questions of clarity, as opposed to me to rehash a lot of what my colleagues have already said. Thank you.
Thanks. Sanbonani. Sanbonani. Kunjani? Sharp sharp. Nathule ngathi ngisesontweni makukhulunywa ngemali abantu baba said. My name is Lungile Mpisani from NYDA. I believe many of people sitting in know NYDA for both good and bad reasons. Hopefully, good reasons mostly. I'm just going to be brief as well. And in assisting me, I'm just going to call Mr. Maluleke. He's one of our beneficiaries. I was glad when I saw him here. So I think I just think it's good that we hear from someone that has actually benefited. And for the record, a lot of people would ask, who gets funded? Isibongo sakhumele ubani? Mina uMpisani lo Maluleke angimazi. So just to clear that out, just brief 1 minute. If you take more than 1 minute, I cut you.
I've been speaking on this mic for so long, I won't introduce myself. But essentially the business that got funded was trailered food. So we actually make and build food trailers from scratch. So from the ground up, and then we sell them. So essentially last year, the process took some time, but I actually did get funding from the NYDA. I believe the funds were released October of last year. It was a sum of around 34,000 rands, which was actually very useful in my business because I'm sorry to say this, but this year we actually, in my business, we actually made like 800,000 in revenue so far. So yeah, it's really amazing, and he actually helped. The NYDA actually helped me with my business plan, and there was also a program that I went through, which is called the EDP, Entrepreneurial Development Program. Yes, so also went through that, and I got a lot of stuff from them. So yeah, I'm very grateful. He knows. Still needs to grow.
I think that part came after the 1 minute. Thanks, my guy. The point I'm trying, this was not staged. I just told him that he's going to speak. The point I'm trying to make is that entrepreneurs know what to do with 1 rand. And in my experience has told me that quite a number of people that are not in business are the ones that have a lot of time to complain. People that are in business will complain after 6 months on my intervals where they remember, so as I said, NYDA does 2 services, financial and non-financial. We've got what we call the business consultancy services, which helps in development of business plans, marketing strategy and plans, accounting systems. You know, in an event where the business needs these services, but they don't have the finances to acquire them, then they can come and apply. And we also offer training, like Maluleke has said. The training is basically to help people understand how to develop their own business plans. Because the problem we often see is that people will come from IDC, Bathi Bafuni business plan. We develop a business plan, but when they take it back to IDC, they have no cooking clue of the content of the business plan. So the whole idea there is that you must be able to know at least what the business plan is supposed to contain and be able to assist the service provider in developing the business plan for you. And then we've got, I'm just going to summarize it, then we've got one of the most common and most famous, which is called the grant program. The grant program is basically to assist, especially SMMEs. If you can tell, that's why I waited. Because ngimncane nemali esinika ise-NYDA incane. So it's just to emphasize that. But however, everyone is welcome as long as you are under the age of 35. You will come to any branch. We've got a branch in Gauteng, Maponya Mall, Newtown, as well as Tshwane. This is Gauteng. and you will sit with a consultant who will be able to assist you and guide you as per your business. You know, we don't want to give a blanket approach to businesses. We interact and you'll be advised according to the business where it is, where it's standing. And I believe that's about it. I also agree with Babu Mzwaguti. I think then it will be more fulfilling if we just interacting among questions, if there are any. But I think the way people have presented, I doubt people have questions. Yeah.
Thanks very much. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do is, you know all the available funding. One of the things I was asking earlier is, when you ask these people questions about what do they fund and all of that, the most important question they're going to ask is what type of business you are and what are you going to do. You've been hearing things about revenue, for example. It has to be a certain way. But before you get to revenue, you need to tell them what your business is. Who is in business here? Starting their own. Okay, let's start here. What does who's your client?
My client is anyone that has a house. I do waterproofing. So whenever you build a house or when you're staying in a house and it leaks, so that's what I do. And the name of the company is Tracy Waterproofing Solutions.
So your client is, all South Africa is your client? All houses in South Africa, all of these houses are your clients? These are the people who've been buying the product?
I can safely say yes.
Okay.
My client is Sasso. I'm actually a project manager in a electric and mechanic inventory distribution company. That's where we get our revenue, but then there's a lot of red tape from white manufacturers that aren't really friendly.
Anyone else? What's your
Hi, Mina, I'm in the food and beverages sector. So my clients would be your hotels, your spaza shop owners, as per 1 million. Yeah, basically.
So if you get out of here to sell your product, where would you go? Would you start at the hotel? Would you go to the Eastern Cape Hotel? Who's your client right now? If you think about them and you can see them.
Okay, if I'm to bring it down to that, my business is based in Mamelodi. So my client is that spaza shop down the road, and the next street, the supermarket, that Pick n Pay that is next to BP Garage in Mamelodi Gardens. That's my client.
And they're buying from you as we speak?
Some of them.
Okay. Last person.
My client is anyone in construction, in health, in food. Well, we are Glossy Good Healthcare. We do occupational health medicals. So anyone in food, in construction, in manufacturing, as long as your employees are exposed to noise, dust, you can contact us. Plus, we have a mobile clinic, so we can come on site.
Okay, interesting. If you notice one thing, right, if you talk about your client, right, and I lend you money, you make these chairs. Somebody should be waiting for them, and you know who that person is. That's your client. All of South Africa can't be your client, right, because all of South Africa is not waiting for your thing. If you are telling me that, I'm not going to lend you my money because you're going to waste it. So the way people think about their money is you want to borrow money from me, and somebody to make chairs because somebody's waiting for the chairs. All of South Africa is not waiting for roofing of the roof. But maybe there are some 5 people in Soweto. And this is an important thing to think about. Anyway, we're going to take about 3-4 questions for the panel so we can close it. We've run badly out of time. Okay, short, 1 question.
Okay. Sanbonani, my name is Tato Mwatludi. I work with a company called Traciel Waterproofing. I work with Huitzimang, who's just introduced himself. My question is for, I think, generally the panel, particularly IDC, GEP, and the gentleman from Lehumo. Would you be able to fund a business that's into innovations? So, i.e., I come up with an innovative product, and I need funding to develop a prototype to test that product.
Hi, panel. My question is to Lehumo. Okay, about the product. Okay, I forgot. I wrote it down. J something. Yeah. I just wanted to find out because, okay, there's obviously 100% tax rebate for the company that invests, which is already good because it's sort of like your capital is guaranteed. But also just to find out, say the past 2 years or I don't know how long it's existed, how has that fund done? What's the return on investment on that fund, like right now? Thanks.
Okay, yeah, my question also, Power Masemola, to Lihumo. I have a small property. I want to convert it into student dorms. I'm 5 minutes away from a FET college. So would Lihumo be interested in funding both of us coming together as a partner into that? Because I've been going and knocking into banks' doors. They've not been looking at me very correctly. So if you could assist.
Do you have people who want to rent these properties? So people are renting and paying you. But what's the problem?
It's currently a property for rental that's available. I want to convert it into student dorms because then I can build and expand. Currently, as I'm sitting, it was my grandmother's old house, a 4-roomed house, and then I built 3 rooms outside, and then I'm renting those 3 plus the house now. But then with the plan that I have with the architect and the designer, I can actually build 20 down, 10 down, 10 up, and then with the marketing that I've done with the student FET college, each room I can make about 4.5 if I have 3 students who all have access to bedding. So it could give me, say, a return of about, yeah.
The FET colleges want, so you've found FET colleges and the students can be signed up to you and the bank doesn't believe that you've got clients. Oh, okay, last question.
Okay. My question is for Lihumo. How flexible or how much freedom like a person has to develop like the company when you are funding them? Because essentially it is your money helping us to raise our businesses. But how much say do you have in like our company? Do we have freedom to do what we want with your money, or do you, because it's your money, you have a say and you have some sort of control? Can I have a last question?
Hello. My name is Lebogang. I'm from Secunda. My company is Litholas Chava Construction. Then the other one is Lefala Basadi Farming. So to the lady, okay, yes, for the lady of the land bank. Yes. Sister, we have an offer to buy a land. So I wanted to know whether you help us to buy a land.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Keshas. My question for Mr. Lihumo. Last year, you came to us and we said you are going to give us, you lied to us last year. And this year, you are coming again. So we are not sure what is or kanjani. He said he's going to give everyone $100 for trading and everything. So this year, how can we trust you?
Okay.
Good day, everyone. My name is Intabi Singh. I come from a company called Liporai. I also have a concern. My question is directed to the National Financial Literacy. I understand there'll be pitches after the session where prizes will be awarded. Last year I pitched. No. Can I please address it now?
If you're not asking the panel, I can get you the people from here to address it. Because those people can't answer that. Which ladies? Yes, they are, not on the panel. I'll get the ladies for you personally. Let's have the panel answer, and then let's see if we've got a few minutes, because they're going to forget everything. Let's go.
Let me start with the gentleman who's assassinating my character. In fact, I can confirm that we have a WhatsApp group. We've assisted many people from last year. They are in touch with Zengisa from my office. They are in touch with Tobeka from the National Financial Literacy Association. Those people got every single thing that I promised last year. If there's anyone who's part of that group who were invited from here, please save me because I'm being told that I lied. Those people have received, yes, you raised the hand. Can you give the mic to that lady so that she can tell us what happened? So in a nutshell, we did deliver on what we promised. We invited everyone. There were messages, emails sent. People attended the session in Braamfontein because we wanted to reach the people. We had a seminar there. I personally presented in that seminar. The group was then transferred to Sandton, where they are attending lessons on how to trade. We fulfilled on their trading accounts, and they are already trading. My brother,
this sister is about to testify.
No, he already said everything I wanted to say because we attended a training for a couple of weeks, in Sandton.
Thank you. Let's move on to the second question, which was, do we invest in, it sounds like a concept, an idea. It really hasn't been, you don't have a track record, it hasn't been tested. Is that what you're saying? Look, it's always, it's always a bit of a challenge. Obviously, understand that it hasn't been proven, it hasn't been tested to the level that we can satisfy ourselves as funders. It will always be looked at, with a microscope. We want businesses that we encourage people to be innovative. However, I'm ultimately putting my clients' money and I'm putting my own money as well. So it's highly risky, but it doesn't mean that it's excluded. However, the amount of scrutiny is going to be in more details. So we do. I would like to hear what the idea is about. I'm always open to invest in ideas. In fact, I encourage people to be more innovative. We're moving into the space I was presenting the other day. We were talking about the blockchain technology. And I'm saying young people need to begin to research thoroughly that, because if we fall behind there, we are falling behind. Blockchain technology is coming through to revolutionize the way we do things. And I want us to really go back and research a bit more about what happened. I compared the whole blockchain technology with when internet was discovered many, many years ago. People did not understand the industry that it was going to bring with. People don't understand even to this day. I think we are in the 1990s when it comes to the blockchain technology right now. The same place we were when internet was introduced. If you told a person that it was going to be Amazon, that was going to sell due to internet, if there was going to be Facebook, because of internet was going to be selling, people did not quite understand that. This is now, we are in the 1980s with the blockchain technology. Please do thorough research on that. Empower yourself on that. It's the next big thing. Investing, how much control do we take? It all depends. It all varies. How much money do you want? It will dictate how much control we take in your business. With FlintFin, such a brilliant idea. I mean, basically what FlintFin does, it's such a great platform. They've got such a nice platform. He spoke about the app. I saw that as a way for us to really make an impact, a positive impact to entrepreneurs, because currently the banks and all these financiers, and I'm going to speak to CIFA and see whether they can plug into our platform, some sort of a partnership. As he was talking there, I thought there is an opportunity for us to take that platform, FlintFin, and get CIFA to plug into that, because, to complement each other, so that they bring in also the funds. Part of the funds comes from our private investors, but also they bring in the funds and they utilize the services that our platform as an intermediary provides. So the intermediary relationship, we will look into it. So how much control? It depends on what type of business. Student accommodation sounds like a brilliant idea. I would like to have a conversation with you. I'm always looking for those type of opportunities. Section 12J, performance. The fund, we raised the first fund 2017, 2018 financial year. We are only now starting to employ that capital that we raised. Just to simplify it, SARS, or the nation, the Section 12J says it caters for two people. And I always say, if you've got such a high tax liability, and SARS might have a problem with me, you've got a higher tax liability, right? You can actually reduce that tax liability by investing in the Section 12J. You're not evading tax, you are avoiding tax. So tax avoidance, for avoidance is not a crime, it's invasion which is a crime. I always say pay what you're supposed to pay, not more than what you're supposed to pay. So, and this is of course a legal thing. They're saying invest in these startups and get your tax benefits, 100% tax deduction. So if I take R1 million right now and I invest it not directly to you, but I put it into the VCC structure, and the VCC structure, if I take that R1 million and put it into a VCC structure, and I go to SARS and say, hey, SARS, my liability is a 1 million. Look, I've invested into this VCC. They say, okay, fine. Your liability, it's like an expense type of thing. They expense that particular investment. So it's quite a great benefit, and I still have the returns that I make from my investments. What are the projections? Look, the projections is about how the performance of the investments that we invest in. If they perform well, so we have to identify quality companies. We're very conservative, so we're not going to, we're very conservative in how we're not looking, if it's too good to be true, stay out of it. So we're not going to make you very rich with the returns. I mean, we're looking for about just beating inflation, type of investments.
Thank you. Is that all?
That's all.
Thank you. On the question of innovation, my brother, that's what we should be talking about in this day and age. Innovating and doing things that are new. I hear people who know things speak about the fourth industrial revolution. And from the little that I hear about it, it requires us to think out of the box. There is no box, for heaven's sake. So we need to think new ideas, new ways of doing things, and so on and so forth. To the organizers, I hope they are still in the room. I think there's a pocket of wealth, knowledge, competence that maybe we're not accessing the way we should. There's a whole lot of government agencies that are in the innovation space. TIA is but one example that comes to mind, the Technology Innovation Agency, the Innovation Hub. And coincidentally, I was with them last week. They are keen to go out there and offer their programs. They've got grant funding to test ideas, because testing ideas can be quite expensive. So I really would encourage the organizers to tip into those things. DTI has got a whole lot of schemes for marketing, the section that was discussed before this one. I think we need to bring that knowledge to these kind of platforms and so on and so forth. Lastly, if you want, I can hook you up with somebody from TIA at the end of this thing. And the last point I want to make, the black bag that I was carrying when I came here is not cash from the IDC. It's brochures. So for those of you that are interested, I'm going to put them here. Thank you.
And she says, can you tell me, this app, are there people waiting for it? Is there a market that you've determined? If you fix it, somebody's waiting to buy it. Okay.
The lady with the red jacket, what is your name again? Lebogang, tell me about this farm.
But we were not having a place where we farm. We've been renting a farm. So now we're looking for our own place where we can do our farming.
So you're looking at acquiring a farm different to where you're currently farming, the rental one?
Yes.
How big is it?
It's 200 hectares.
And what are you farming on this land?
Okay, it's veggies. Then we do have poultry, layer chickens. Then dairy milk.
And then who's we?
Okay. Okay, we are 4 ladies. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I guess you've already drawn up some sort of a concept,
Yes.
or you've got an idea of what you want to do and all of that.
Yes, yes.
So I'll encourage you, because I'm responsible for all of the youth projects at the bank. So I'll encourage you just to send the concept through to me, and we'll have a look at it. Because anything that's got to do with like women involvement in youth is quite important. One last question: the individual who you're buying the farm from, why are they selling this farm?
Okay, from Leandra, Leslie at Mpumalanga. Oh, why are they selling?
Why are they selling this farm?
Okay, they are moving to Cape Town. They are already grown-ups.
Okay, because I think I'll use this opportunity just to flag something that we've been seeing in recent times. A lot of farms are currently coming up for sale, and we've come to realize that a farm that's made available, and we don't really know why the farm is being sold. There are a lot of speculation around that. What ends up happening is that you, for instance, you go and we assist you to buy this farm, and a year from now you're struggling. You could be struggling for a whole range of reasons, and also because no one farm or no two farms are exactly the same. So what we're sort of trying to do is looking at how we can encourage individuals to go into partnerships. So perhaps we can see to what extent the individual who's looking at doing that full sale of the farm can come into partnership with you. We can set up a structure, and if it is that they want to move away and they want a certain amount of money to go into the back pocket, that's fine. But we would want to keep them involved so they can have some sort of mentorship, and over, let's say, a 2-year period, we can help you get established, because there's no point in assisting you buy a farm and then 2 years from now there's not a single layer on this farm. So I think that's the movement that we're sort of taking. So I'll give you my card, and then you can just send me your details. Okay, thanks.
Any other? Everybody covered? We'll take. Let's see how many hands you think we have. 3 only. Okay, great. 1, 2, 3.
This is for Lihume. I have proof here that there's demand pull with Sasol. As I was saying earlier, we're facing a lot of red tapes from white manufacturers. So now I own 20% of this business that I am a project manager on, and I have all the statistics here. And we've actually set up a meeting with Sasol, where Sasol tells me she's the senior vice president of the procurement setup. And there's information that they would give to any financer or investor. However, it's controlled information. They may not give it to me, but so now I just wanted to know, how flexible are you? Maybe you got all stars, we can go to Sasol and sit around the table and have a discussion with them.
Yeah. Do you want to take it off? I think this is quite complex. Or do you, yeah.
To make it short, in fact, Sasol, it's my neighbor. So it will be very easy for me to just walk in Sandton, right opposite Sasol.
Okay. My question is for my sister from the land bank. Just want to get clarity. You said you guys don't fund properties that are less than 10 hectares. You don't?
So if you are operating on a piece of land which is less than 10 hectares, that's subsistence, and we believe that we have government departments that are able to assist you with that.
Okay. But once you are over 10, or rather the nature of the business that you're doing, does it matter? Because, for instance, if I'm doing layers and I don't need 100 hectares for that, can't you guys layers for egg production? So can't you guys assist us with such things? Because you don't necessarily need 100 hectares for that. And as a start, I could be needing perhaps $1 million or $2 million to do it on a 5 or even 2 hectares of land. But can't you guys consider such applications just because it's on a smaller piece of land? Because we don't need a big piece of land for plowing, basically.
I agree that it's got to do with the commodity that you're farming. It's also worth thinking about that you have to have what they call an economic unit. So how many of those layers do you need in the layer? What do you call it? The house, in order for you to break even. So as much as you're saying that, okay, you could do it on 10 hectares, if we're able to build the type of facility that can house the number of layers that you need in order for you to break even, then of course that is something that can be considered. I'm also aware that you're now getting a lot of urban agriculture and those sort of opportunities where you're able to really, really make the most of the space that you have. So obviously that requires us to look at everything from an innovative perspective. So I think you're right in asking, does it really depend on what you're doing? And of course, if the opportunity is there, and that's how I qualified it, if the opportunity is there and we want to, and it's something that has potential, we have to look at how best can we take you from just building that one house of layers to more than that.
Okay, to Lungile Mbisane, may I kindly take this opportunity, since when everybody has been standing answering questions, Shem, it's only you who hasn't been asked any. So, okay. So now, I have a restaurant, ATM, and I've realized that most or a bigger percentage of my returns come from catering. May I put it to you that, or may I kindly ask for an opportunity to cater at some of the programs that you guys, NYDA, host for SMMEs whatsoever? Yeah.
Thank you. I was okay with not answering questions.
Will you exchange numbers?
Just quick one. That is a procurement function. So my advice would be you'd go to...
You'll give a procurement
Yeah, let's just talk after this.
Thank you. Guys, we have to wrap it up because it's horrendous late and it's a Saturday. Thank you very much to our panelists. Maybe they will try and answer questions as they walk through the door. And he wants to say one last thing.
Andy, I would like to do what I did, the same thing that I did last year. To say, my people are welcome to come. And in fact, today we've got an exhibition stand. Go and put your name there. We will assist you in learning how the stock market works. And I also want to just, the last comment, and say this old man from Bidvest, Brian Joffe, can you believe that Long for Life, what's one of their assets there? It's this salon. What do you call it? A sobe. Why do people list saloons? We have so many barber shops and beauty salons. We can think about listing those businesses as part of accessing funding. We want to start our businesses and run them into our graves. We need to begin to look at the stock market as well as a potential place where we can raise money. I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Final word, ladies and gentlemen. I am an entrepreneur. There's one thing we always forget about. To convince the person we are asking money from, how we're going to pay back. And there's only one way to convince them, is to show them that somebody is waiting. Somebody, earlier we heard about if you get a letter from a potential client, it gives me comfort that actually you're going to give me back my money because you're going to sell and pay me back. And we have to think about that all the time. But thank you very much and good luck.
Okay. Mpumi, are you here? Oh, okay. I would like to call upon Mpumi from Muteo Group. The lady that was talking right now, she also pitched last year. There is another lady who also pitched. She's sitting there. We want her to tell us her journey with Muteo Group from last year. We want her to tell us what this platform did for her last year. That's why I'm saying we do have success stories and we're excited about it. But Mpumi, over to you.
Sanbona, I think I'm tall enough. I don't need to go up. Good afternoon, Sanbona and Absheni. My name is Mpumelelo, trading as Mpumi. Surname Demande. I'm one of the directors in Muteo Telecoms. Last year we came here, I think it's the same time. We were part of the program and a few guys pitched. We picked one lady. Her name is Bongi Le Princess Ngobeni. I don't think we've done as well as we want to do. I want to be frank and honest to you. We've done a few things with Singogazi. Her business was registered, it's got VAT, it's got COID, the Department of Labor stuff. She's got a truck that we lease on her behalf. She's got a 4-ton truck. Am I correct? Is it 4-ton or 8-ton? She's got a 4-ton truck that we lease on her behalf. She's got a running business account. I think she's turned over only 100. Huh? She's turned over only 100,000. Our target is higher than that. We've had a few challenges as she's learning on site. We've also put her on a program. It's a 12-month program. Ne? She's also on a business management program that we are paying for. So we've done a few things, but we haven't done what we really want to do. Okay? We've done a few things. So our target for her is about 5 million rand turnover. We are not there yet. But we are hopeful that as it's our new financial year starts in the next 30 days on the 1st of July, we are hoping for 2018-2019 we can make that number. It's not mission impossible. So I wanted to be honest with you. But nonetheless, I think she's had a beautiful journey. She works from our own office. She's got all the support I think a small business that will need. Also, a month or two ago, there's a lady called Lerato. We've also pledged to donate about 10,000. It was at another event. Before this month ends, before our financial year ends, would have also sorted it out with our commitment. We've also identified, I think, about 3 schools we'll be supporting with technology along the way. But this year we are back again. I think when I came last year, I did say that business is a nice thing, but it's very tough. We run a fairly big business, but it's still tough. The funding issues you have, don't think they are only for small business. Even when you're a big business, you go ask for money, they tell you, no, we are short of this, you need to have surety. And I think government needs to start doing much more than they're currently doing in terms of developmental funding. They are doing quite a bit, but I think they can do much better. But don't give up as an entrepreneur. I said to you last year, imagine that you are climbing a mountain. The higher you go on the mountain, the more uncomfortable it becomes. But that does not mean you should quit. So I'd want to repeat the message I said last year, that as you go up the mountain, your feet will tire. Your friends will abandon you. Your family will think you are crazy and want you to go look for a job. When I started 16 years ago, a business, on my second year, my mom and sisters wanted me to go get a job. And I actually employed directly about 120 people as I stand here. And I contract more than 600 people each month. Okay. And 16 years ago, I was told to look for a job. Now I have CVs, I have profiles stuck in my email. So with that, all I'm saying is that do not give up about your business. Remember, it's your dream. It's not your father's dream. It's not your mom's dream. When they don't believe in it, it doesn't matter. Do you hear what I'm saying? No one needs to believe in your dream. Only you need to believe in your dream. So this afternoon, before the pitches, I want you to remember, don't give up. Keep pushing. Don't listen to all the noise you'll hear along the way. There was a time I only had 1 pair of pants and maybe 2 sets of shoes. Not because I wanted to, because I couldn't buy. All I needed to do was to be clean. With me saying that is that you might not fit in some environments on your way to the top. But when you are on the top, you'll have an option of what you feel like doing, where you want to go. Remember that. Owning a business is enabling you to have the time to do the things you really want to do. So the pain that you are going through, do not worry. It is part of the journey of being an entrepreneur. I don't know what format we're going to use this year. Last year we had a few people that were pitching. I don't know what format we'll use. And then this year again, we're going to take another business with. We are not all about talk. We want to develop businesses. We have about 20 contractors. I have about 20 contractors that work for me each month. I've got a waiting list of about 150 contractors. I might not be able to use all of them, but those that we work with, we are developing them. We are assisting them in terms of cash flow. We work closely with them. So this year we're going to take another business. Okay? We want to go with another business, and that business will do everything. If you went online, you'll find the Singogazi. Is it singogaziprojects.co.za? Huh? Singogazi.co.za. She's got a website. She can work for any other business. We'd still be able to support her. She can wake up and go to site and work. She doesn't need to worry about wages. That's the type of support we're giving. And it's the same support we've gotten also to be here. I think I did tell my story. What we do as Motewa Telecoms, we do what's called fiber optic installations. For those that don't know, we are part owned. We are 49% owned by Motewa Construction Group. Last year when I came here, our revenue was nowhere near where we are. End of the month, June, we would have done 140 million in terms of business. And we are very young. I'm 34 years old. I know I look 45. I'm 34 years old. My partner is around here. He's also 34. We are the same age. And we also have a dream to take our business to R1 billion revenue in the next 4 years. And it's not impossible. Okay? And even your business, I know the numbers I'm talking, they seem impossible. They are not. When I stood here last year, you won't believe we've done less than 10 million revenue. As I'm standing here, we've done more than 140 million worth of work in the past 12 months. So for you as an entrepreneur, I'm encouraging you, as you stand here, the 30 seconds or the minutes that you're going to be given, imagine it's your ticket to the next stage of your business. Construction-related businesses, that's what we're interested in. The donation we did at I Am an Entrepreneur a few weeks ago was a spare of the moment, but we like businesses within the construction place, civils and stuff. It makes it easier for us to support them because it's what we do every day. How do we do it? Okay, this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to ask 5 companies or persons, okay? Construction related. When you're doing something else, we can have offline discussion. In this platform, construction related. 5 businesses, construction related. We give you what's fair, 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Please note when you're making the presentation, want to know what you're doing. Not to go to ngumpumelelo on demand. You can tell us your name, but that's not the main part. Want to know what you are doing currently, what is it more that you want to do, because we want to give you the necessary support to move from there. 5 guys, 5 construction related. Okay, let's rather do it like this. Please take a chair and come sit here. The gentleman, the lady. I've got 2. Okay, you can be my service provider. You don't need to come here. You'll take my business card. It's white companies that are doing medicals for me. I'll give you business from Monday morning. It's not an issue. You can be my supplier. When construction related, I mean, I hardly wear a suit, most probably. This year I've worn a suit, I don't know, 6 times or something like that. I'm always dressed like this. Untucked actually. 9 out of 10, I look rugged. But we've got 2 companies, 3rd one, 4th one, 5th one.
third one, fourth one. Yes, Fifi, please come up front. Let's sit here. We give you the minute. You give us your story. You'll help us choose. Angit, nina laba bahleli ku audience. You can help us choose, and then we move from there. If there's a service, for instance, health and safety, you do. You guys, please come up front. Take a chair. Sit there, because I think time is up, and it's getting more cold. If the services you provide, I don't mean you retailing. When you wholesaling, maybe PPE clothes, you can talk to me. I buy a lot of them. When you're selling products that we need to use in our space, you can talk to me offline. And you are not buying from the buyer of the buyer. You're not the fifth guy in the line. I'm not talking fifth people in the line. You know? Where are the other two people? Were you asking a question, madam? There wasn't 5 people. There was 5 people. Or the fourth one, fifth one? Huh? Okay, that's fine. How many minutes we give? 1 minute? 1 minute of fame. Okay, I'll sit next to them and then say your name, give us your story. We'll make a pick. The audience will assist me, Mos. Will assist. Sharp. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Nontokozo Princess Msamango. Okay, I'm nervous. My name is Nontokozo Princess Msamango, and we recently started a construction company which is called Gold Diggers Investment, and we are currently searching for a mentorship and funds for the company. So far, we have registered and CIDB. It's general building and civil. Yeah, we just need assistance and mentorship and guidance on how to run a company. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Tabisile Gumbi. Okay, I'm originally an author, but because I write about money, which basically is about my background, how I messed up, etc., I ended up with a huge social media following, and thinking property is one of the best ways to make money. We came up with a property stock file where people contribute monthly, and we build properties, and we are lucky to look at the forgotten market, which is the township markets, because there's a lot of demand for decent housing in the townships. Because strangely, even when they calculate property values, etc., they forget the townships. But there is value on there. So what that created, it created for me personally an opportunity for a construction company, which I started. So we mainly focus on building rooms. It has not been an easy journey. Because, you're dealing with these men. One guy even once told me, Uti, there's no place for a woman in a construction site, So it has not been easy, but we have embarked on creating our own opportunities and even partnering up with a government fund that actually funds township properties. So that's who we are. That's what we're doing. But mainly just rooms, but decent rooms.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Yep, my name is Boo Charlie. Professionally, I'm an architect, but construction is something that we began doing a few years back. We are still new, relatively new. We still need someone to hold our hand and take us on the journey. Because generally, one of the things that even made me to pursue architecture is a roof over your head is one of the most important things. It's a basic need of society. And we want to do the best that we can to assist in ensuring that people have got decent roofs over their heads. And we would really like the opportunity also to be mentored and taken to the next level in the industry. Not just construction only. Our plan is to also venture into the property sector, in as much as we get clients, because we saw that it's not sustainable from what we have seen, from our experiences over the past couple of years, to only rely on getting clients. You finish the project, then you get another one. So our strategy over the next couple of years is to ensure that we can also create our own projects in the industry. I think that's my 1 minute. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Huitima. I am a director of a company called Traceal Waterproofing Solutions. Basically what we do is we waterproof roofs that are new and others that are leaking. So, but right now residentials is mainly our focus, and we are trying to get into the commercial where we are able to maintain commercial roofs. We use innovative waterproofing material that doesn't require any maintenance. So when we come in, we can waterproof your roof and give you up to a 10-year maintenance-free guarantee. Should your roof leak, we will come at no cost and come and fix your roof, and that's how confident we have in our products. So currently what we are looking for is a mentorship, and of course now to expand the business and become more sustainable. Thank you.
Sanibonani futhi. Sivote kanjani? Angithi youth man, open cast vote. Open cast. I'm a bit confused what to do, but maybe you'll help me. Okay? Do you do it by the raise of hands? Do you do it by the raise of hands? Ubanozo by IEC too? Huh? You have a pen and paper? Okay. To the first madam here, she's starting, she told you she's starting. How many of you are in the business? 2 of you. Both female? Do you do it full time or it's a side hustle? Full time. So you don't do it after work, full time. Okay. 2 ladies. Madam, how many of you are in your business? You work with employed. Okay. You said you're doing civils. You want to do general building. You are a property developer. When I'm listening and listening properly, I property develop. Yeah. Okay. The chief here has been working for a few years. How many of you are in the business?
The director, it's me alone.
Yeah.
But there's a number of guys that I'm already working with.
Okay.
Who are specialists in different aspects of the construction industry.
Okay. Waterproofing, that's your specialty. Okay. The brother here, I'm not sure how. I'll need to think. I can apply myself. You have your car. You will vote. But in my head, I want to put you in a certain corner. We are going to vote now. Because what I'm thinking, in our world, you'd be a service provider type of a thing. Yeah. IEC ready? Igama konje sisithobani? Non-Togozo. Those voting for non-Togozo. Nizwile indaba ka-non-Togozo. Civils and building. Those voting for her, are you counting? Akhona isandla undercover la.